Looking back, there were some signs that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was never going to have a great launch. Back in February of 2022, Jason Schreier reported that Activision had delayed the next Call of Duty game, which left people optimistic. But then suddenly we learned that Activision would announce a Modern Warfare 3 that arrived this year. They essentially decided to forego plans to delay a mainline entry, and the end result is a product that feels woefully rushed. And this is something that PC Gamer sensed back in August 7th, 2023, when they published an article titled Modern Warfare 3 coming just a year after Modern Warfare 2 has me worried it's going to be an awkward year for Call of Duty. PC Gamer sentiments were accurate here when they said we just got Infinity Ward's rebooted Modern Warfare 2 last year, and now we're already getting a threequel? That simply does not happen. Not since 2007 has a Call of Duty gotten a sequel. Just 1 year later, as Activision Studios have turned out their own distinct takes on the series on a 2 to 3 year cycle. Why is Sledgehammer leading Modern Warfare 3 when it's always been an Infinity Ward series? And what exactly is Modern Warfare 3? I think we should be ready for Modern Warfare 3 to feel more like a stopgap. It's absolutely possible. The newest thing about Modern Warfare 3 will be its campaign, a campaign that many are declaring the worst they've ever played in the series, while its multiplayer suite will resemble the second year of Modern Warfare 2 that Schreier reported last year. Modern Warfare 3 was essentially supposed to be a DLC or continuation of Modern Warfare 2, an update of Modern Warfare 2 that then got turned into a standalone game that comes nowhere close to having enough content, being feature-rich enough for it to justify labeling itself as a full-fledged sequel with a full number 3. The quality just isn't there because this is essentially the equivalent of a research project that should take 2 to 3 years that they had to do in 6 months. It's abundantly clear that Activision just kind of turned in rushed homework. Even before Modern Warfare 3's early access, it faced negative PR for stunts like putting ads on Xbox that would pop up when you would boot up your Xbox Series S or X, which, while not the biggest deal in the world, just isn't something that is particularly welcome. And then beyond that, people learned that for some reason, playing Modern Warfare 3's campaign required you to insert Modern Warfare 2's PS4 disc due to a disc required error that would pop up. The developers did eventually get wind of this, and they said that you should stand by for updates. Eventually, this was rectified with a patch, with a quick hot fix that did fix this issue. But the fact that Modern Warfare 2 disc requirements was a bug at all highlighted that this was indeed originally supposed to be a Modern Warfare 2 DLC that got turned into a standalone game, layered on top of the fact that Modern Warfare 3's installation requires 213 gigabytes of storage space if you want all of its content installed, including the high-resolution textures. And then on PlayStation 5, as IGN showcases here, you're looking at an eye-watering 234.9 gigabytes of storage space that Modern Warfare 3 takes up, and here's a screenshot for proof. Modern Warfare 3 is so blatantly just a poor quality DLC for Modern Warfare 2 that it doesn't even have a platinum trophy for the game, as it's actually categorized as DLC for Modern Warfare 2, which is probably a metaphor for this entire endeavor. And then people began to get their hands on the campaign, and they discovered that it is the shortest campaign we have seen from a modern Call of Duty game. Modern Warfare 3's campaign is only 4 hours long, maybe 5 if you really draw it out. Some people have beaten it in as short as 3 hours. And we're not talking about 3 to 5 high-quality, action-packed, epic hours. We're talking about very middling hours that even IGN had to give a score of 4 out of 10. Usually, this outlet tends to be kind of generous with Call of Duty, but in this case, they said that this game is underbaked, rehashed, and cobbled together from multiplayer parts. Modern Warfare 3 single-player campaign is everything Call of Duty story mode shouldn't be. Now, IGN's review I talked about in my previous video, but since then, new reviews have come out that all pretty much say the same thing. Here's GameSpot's review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign, published on November 3rd, and scrolling down, you'll see that their score is not dissimilar to IGN's, giving it a score of 5 out of 10, a mediocre game by their standards. Positives being reintroducing Makarov evokes nostalgia. It's good to see Warzone's Verdansk again. A punchy shooting. Basically a few moments that fans will enjoy. And then, of course, the gameplay, the gunplay has always been something that Call of Duty has nailed down. But combat mechanics aren't enough on their own. It's the stuff around which that the combat mechanics are used that will ultimately make or break the game, and that's where this campaign suffers. The bad here is listed as pacing suffers from all the open combat missions. This was the big selling point of the campaign, and it's the thing that ultimately brought it down, because you can tell the open combat missions were woefully underdeveloped, and they needed way more time to flesh these out and to make these feel epic and on the scope that the developers likely wanted to make these. Not a lot of payoff to the story is another major criticism of this game, and this is pretty commonplace. Fans have been talking about how awful the narrative of this game is and have been lambasting it to hell and back. And then finally, the campaign doesn't do much worth seeing in its brief runtime of, again, 3 to 5 hours. Call of Duty campaigns have never been the longest. They tend to be 6 to 8 hours, but the fact that somehow that bar could be lowered that much more, and despite the game being much shorter in length and yet the quality suffering so much, just makes this all the more insulting. Here's Video Game Chronicles' review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign, calling it a series low point. If we didn't already know that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 began life as a DLC offering to 2022's Modern Warfare 2, this year's single-player offering makes it glaringly obvious, says this review, and scrolling all the way down, you'll find a list of pros and cons. The only pro given by this reviewer is that the opening mission is pretty good, but then beyond that, the negatives include incredibly short, terrible stealth mission, open combat missions feel extremely underdeveloped, and finally, levels are largely repurposed Warzone environments. That's another aspect of this game where it's glaringly obvious it is an expansion of sorts or an update to Modern Warfare 2, is there's so much recycled content. And while developers do recycle assets and stuff for sequel entries, they also expand upon an experience enough where the recycling of assets is justified. Not so with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. They just rehash things in just kind of the, I say laziest way possible, but the fact of the matter is that the developers only had so much time to work with because Activision mandated that Modern Warfare 3 release in the year and day that it did. And so, all developers could do is, the end result here with the time and the resources that they were given. If this game had been delayed by a year or two, developers likely would have been able to do a lot more, especially with the open combat missions. So this isn't really on the developers, it's on the leadership at Activision for mandating such an unreasonable deadline and for continuing to mandate this annualized release cycle for Call of Duty that is proving to be extremely detrimental and that is beginning to catch up to the series. Here's one more critic review for good measure from Kotaku. The headline speaks for itself. Modern Warfare 3's campaign mostly sucks. And this is yet another reviewer that highlights how, while the concept of open combat missions is interesting and has a lot of potential, the execution is unfortunately extremely lacking. The open-ended and largely empty feeling of Modern Warfare 3's levels are unlikely to satisfy traditional Call of Duty fans, and neither will its storyline. And then beyond that, prominent content creators and folks on social media who are fans of Call of Duty and have been covering Call of Duty for a while, they too are not impressed by what Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 has to offer in terms of campaign. The Gaming Revolution here gave it a 5 out of 10, noting that this is just a really poor release due to a lack of tension, a lack of stakes. It all just felt like pointless filler, no originality, nothing new. The ending was something that was far from satisfactory and felt like this was just an incomplete campaign experience that they're trying to draw out. You can feel that this was just meant to be an extension of Modern Warfare 2, with half the missions being spec op and the story feeling so meaningless. Really burnt out by Modern Warfare and the setting too after 2 games back to back. This doesn't feel like the third game in the series at all. The third game is where all hell's supposed to start breaking loose and shit hits the fan. But ultimately, it is just, again, a rushed, soulless product is what this is. 5 out of 10. We've got major outlets for Call of Duty news like Charlie Intel commenting on the ending, saying that Modern Warfare 3 campaign's ending was disappointing, felt like it needed more. And hell, as far as what content creators have been saying, here is this compilation by Twitter user Lex that kind of shows you what the general sentiments are and where they sit. It's pretty much universal. Just about everyone hates Modern Warfare 3's campaign.
I'm not impressed. I hate to say it, but I am not impressed.
Restart the game.
It's just a matter of the product itself being lackluster on all fronts.
Early access. Proceed. Just like that. Boom, Modern Warfare 3. Jumping now. Welcome. Whoa.
It's a matter of this being a game that is far from justifying its standalone release at a $70 full price point. And then beyond critics and content creators, you've got fans who also universally agree that this is the worst Modern Warfare campaign and the worst Call of Duty campaign we've seen in a very long time, if not the worst ever. And here's PC Gamer covering this with an article whose headline reads, Modern Warfare 3's rushed campaign isn't going over well with fans who pre-ordered. And this is a quote from one of the fans. This is hands down the worst Call of Duty campaign I've ever played. On Reddit, you can see that this game is getting memed to hell and back. It do be like that, says this user who posted the following meme of an unamused character, Ghost, stating me staring at the refund button after a couple campaign missions. Here's somebody else on the Modern Warfare 3 subreddit saying, what the F was this campaign? Probably one of, if not the worst in the series. These garbage open map missions are literally a middle finger to all fans of the series, and the ending, like WTF was that ending. There's a 2.5 hour long campaign at most if you don't die too often and watch all cutscenes / cinematics. And the thing that really burns is that the opening mission makes this campaign seem like it's headed in the right direction. I'm like 3 missions in and astounded how dumb this campaign is. I was super excited after the opening mission, but the rest feels like the laziest DLC bullshit ever. If all 3 to 4 hours of this campaign felt like how the opening mission felt, then maybe they could have kind of gotten away with it, but it's just one good opening mission and then the rest is just dull. And then right here we have the user who said that this is hands down the worst Call of Duty campaign they've ever played, blaming Warzone in particular because so many of the missions in the campaign essentially take Warzone maps and areas, recycle them, repurpose them for open combat missions. This user calls the open combat missions garbage, and just the lack of refinement, the lack of attention to detail, the lack of any sort of fleshing out, no AI comrades, no music. The emptiness of the open combat missions was prominently highlighted by critics, by content creators, and by fans and players alike. And I genuinely believe that it's not that open combat missions don't have potential, it's just when you don't give developers enough time to make a proper game out of these open combat missions, you get something as irredeemable as the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign. People were not impressed by the story and the writing and what they did to certain characters, and the mission objectives, many found to be boring. Missions such as hack 4 phones on the ground and exfiltrate, almost like MMO fetch questy stuff that you wouldn't expect to see in an epic Call of Duty campaign. And there are some people on Reddit who are highlighting the fact that it's not necessarily Warzone or the mission structure or the concepts behind this game that are to blame, but it's just the fact that the game couldn't be fleshed out due to rush deadlines and a shift in business model, the fact that this is an annualized release cycle. Now, there's a lot of discussions around just how bad the Modern Warfare 3 campaign is, but surely the multiplayer experience at least will feel fleshed out then, right? Well, if the information from this PC Gamer report is anything to go by, I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you. Scrolling down, we have some bullet points as to what has been confirmed about the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer experience. Much like the campaign, so much of the content is rehashed, and there's so little substance here, there's so little new stuff, and so little in the way of truly expanding on the experience to justify the sequel number, that it's hard to imagine that even the multiplayer experience won't see a similar kind of feedback as the campaign did. So here are some bullet points worth highlighting. Modern Warfare 3 carries over all guns and cosmetics from Modern Warfare 2. Now that's nice when there's some kind of continuity of content, as long as the new game introduces a bunch of stuff on top of carrying over the previous stuff. But Modern Warfare 3 will only have remake maps from the 2009 Modern Warfare 2 at launch, a strange map pool, again, rehashed, recycled content with nothing new on offer. It's cool if there's old content in a new game as long as the new game also has new content. There seems to be little of that in Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer experience. There's no dedicated co-op mode, but instead a Treyarch-developed Zombies mode that reuses the Warzone map, so even the Zombies mode feels rehashed on some level. Modern Warfare 3 is purchased and installed as if it's DLC for Modern Warfare 2, which is emblematic of exactly what this game actually is, despite it being advertised as a standalone, full-fledged $70 full experience that nowhere near lives up to that price point. And then finally, you literally have to launch Modern Warfare 2, now called the Call of Duty HQ, to access Modern Warfare 3. For those who don't know, Call of Duty has its own unique launcher that just complicates everything. This PC Gamer article explains everything, titled Call of Duty's new stupid launcher launcher is a data management nightmare, and it may get worse with Modern Warfare 3. It reads right here, all installs of Modern Warfare 3 will first require that you have another program installed, Call of Duty HQ. If you've been playing Modern Warfare 2 or Warzone the last few months, you're already using Call of Duty HQ. It's essentially just the rebranded main menu for Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 that's capable of launching other COD games. Modern Warfare 3 will be the first new Call of Duty to require that HQ is installed, and it leaves a large footprint on your SSD, around 45 to 57 gigabytes. This is in part why the game file size of Modern Warfare 3 is so big. The requirement of Call of Duty HQ, which takes up dozens of gigabytes on its own. Its mandatory inclusion, as well as the ability to selectively install different pieces of Call of Duty, has resulted in the most convoluted storage space section in a system requirements grid I've ever seen. The smallest possible configuration of Modern Warfare 3 with its campaign, co-op, and Warzone all removed is 79 gigabytes. That's COD HQ's 45 gigabytes plus multiplayer's 34 gigabytes. 79 gigabytes for a 4-hour-long underwhelming campaign is utterly ridiculous, and it could have been at a more reasonable 34 gigabytes if it wasn't for COD HQ taking up an additional 45 gigabytes. Beyond COD HQ taking up additional storage space, it also makes it more cumbersome to launch Modern Warfare 3. As PC Gamer reports here, you can't launch Modern Warfare 3 without first launching Modern Warfare 2, with a subheadline highlighting how the COD HQ launcher makes accessing Modern Warfare 3 a chore, because players are discovering that launching COD HQ is required to access the new game, which would be less of a big deal if it wasn't for the fact that this is a launcher within a launcher that makes it so before you can launch Modern Warfare 3, you have to launch Modern Warfare 2 first. Call of Duty HQ is just a Modern Warfare 2/Warzone client under a new name. Switching between Modern Warfare 2 and 3 from HQ is not like switching modes. Clicking the Modern Warfare 3 button closes the HQ app and launches an entirely different executable called Modern Warfare 3. There's no option to just launch Modern Warfare 3 because Modern Warfare 3 is not even its own game. It's buried literally inside COD HQ as a piece of add-on content. So the end result is that, based on PC Gamer's test, it can take anywhere from 70 to 90 seconds to launch Modern Warfare 3 due to these extra steps that serve no discernible purpose for players. And the editor of this review, Morgan Park, uploaded this unlisted video that showcases what exactly is meant by this. So right here we have the BattleNet launcher launching Call of Duty, which takes you to COD HQ, and that can take some time, as you can see right here. So eventually that gets launched. You get into COD HQ. And then when you go to select the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, it doesn't just take you into the game. It takes you out of COD HQ so you can run the executable of Modern Warfare 3. And then finally, you're in the Modern Warfare 3 campaign experience. So even stuff like this, they couldn't make elegant, they couldn't make user-friendly, and they couldn't hash out the details to make it the best experience possible. The good news is that just about everyone seems to be calling this out, and we'll see if the negative PR has enough of an effect, enough of a negative impact on Modern Warfare 3 sales, where it'll slap Activision in the face so that they can see that they cannot pull something like this again. But on the other hand, if the game ends up selling really well anyways and ends up making hundreds of millions of dollars and whatnot, then, you know, all that'll say to Activision is they can get away with stuff like this, and they'll just keep doing this until sales are negatively impacted. So that's one area where only time will tell. But for now, a lot of negative press, and for good reason, surrounding Modern Warfare 3. And with the game nearing its full launch, with multiplayer about to go online, based on how these early goings-ons are going, I would not hold my breath for the final launch of the game and its multiplayer experience being anything particularly enthralling or worth the $70 asking price. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, its current state based on what people are reporting from the early access, and what you expect from its full launch. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.